Hey there, Mike Robbins here, coming to you live on Wednesday, a little after 3 p.m. Pacific time. I want to talk about a couple of things, but the main thing I want to talk about is that we can do it. You can do it. We can do hard things. My friend Glennon Doyle likes to say, life is hard, but that's okay because we can do hard things. And she's been saying this for a number of years, and I think about her saying that. If you're not familiar with Glennon and her work, she's an amazing writer and speaker and activist. She's written a bunch of great books. Her most recent is called Untamed, which has been a runaway New York Times bestseller. But look, today is, as I'm recording this, if you're watching it live on LinkedIn or on YouTube, right? It's March, 10th. And if you're watching this after the fact, maybe it's the 11th or the 12th or many weeks or months after this. But tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary of COVID. Really, it's been around for longer than a year. Obviously, it was late 2019 when the first cases of COVID were detected in China. But here in the United States, at least, it was the evening of March 11th. My wife, Michelle, and I were sitting on the couch watching CNN, or I was flipping channels back and forth, and we got word that Rudy Gobert, the center of the Utah Jazz, had tested positive for the coronavirus, and their game had been canceled, and that one of his teammates had also tested positive. And then right after that, we heard the NBA was suspending the season, which was like unfathomable. I couldn't even imagine that. And then within 45 minutes, either before or after that, I can't remember exactly the timeline, we found out that Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson had tested positive as well. He was down in Australia filming a movie. And I turned to Michelle and I remember saying, uh-oh, this is bad. This is big. I mean, again, COVID had been impacting Asia and Europe and the economy and the markets for a number of weeks and even the couple months prior to that. But here in the US, there was still this sense of, oh, it's over there, it's far away, it's not going to get here. We only had a few cases, and it seemed kind of like SARS or Ebola in our sort of, self-absorbed world. But that made it abundantly clear. And from that moment on, the evening of March 11th, it was a Wednesday, things progressively changed rapidly. Within a couple of days, the schools were shut down here. Most businesses, people that I know and talk to, they can think back to that day in particular, or those days right after that, and remember, oh yeah, it was the 11th or the 12th or the 13th or the 15th when we went into lockdown. And anyway, you've got your own story. You've got your own version of that, right? And it's been hard. It's been hard for months. It's been hard for physically, mentally, emotionally, economically, socially, all these. But like, here we are. And even though it seems like there's some light at the end of the tunnel, vaccines are rolling out, things are opening up. I don't know if they're maybe opening up too soon, but there's a sense that life is starting to move closer in the direction of normalcy, although we're still a ways away. But I don't know about you, but I know for me and just about everybody that I know, most of the people that I work with, definitely our friends, our family, our friends that have teens and tweens like we do, and people are struggling. There's a weariness, there's a exhaustion, there's a fatigue that's been there for a while, but we're literally coming out of what feels like the longest winter ever with everything that's going on. And so I think it's important, though, for us to remember that we can do hard things. We have done hard things. Imagine if a year ago I said to you, here's what's about to happen over the next year. You would have thought I was crazy. I would have thought I was crazy. And not only would you have thought I was crazy, we would have all sort of agreed there's no way we're going to be able to make it through that or survive that way or function that way or still get our work done still. Look, and some people haven't. We've lost, 2.5 million people around the world, over 525,000 here in the US. Millions and millions and millions of people have gotten the virus and gotten sick. Many more millions have been impacted economically with our work, right? Even if you're still able to work, which I'm grateful to be able to work, it's been disrupted and changed significantly. I'm standing here in my office where I'll be speaking a little bit later this afternoon, this evening at an event where I speak at events now. This is what an event looks like, is me staring at my computer and talking to people on Zoom or Skype or WebEx or Teams or whatever platform we're using. And we've all been impacted mentally, emotionally, socially. So if you're feeling weary, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling down, depressed, you're not alone, right? We're all in the same storm, different boats, as I like to say, and in the context of we're all in this together, which is the name of my most recent book, of course, and my podcast. But I want to talk about some things that we can do to navigate this challenging time. And again, it's been challenging. We've been going through challenging times. It's ebbed, it's flowed, it's gone up and down. And wherever you are in your own sort of roller coaster of this, it seems like it's a particularly challenging time right now as we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but still a ways to go and trying to, it feels again, like I was saying this on my podcast yesterday, it feels like the fourth quarter of a basketball game, or maybe overtime or double overtime. I played basketball all the way through high school. Baseball was my main sport. I was much better at baseball, but I loved basketball. And one of the hardest parts, though, for me with basketball was that I would just get exhausted. Even when I was in pretty good shape, it's like third quarter, fourth quarter, late in the game. And it's like, I still had to get back on defense. I still had to run down on a fast break. I didn't get to quit, even though I'd be sucking wind and grabbing my shorts. And we're in the fourth quarter or the overtime or double overtime of this game, and we don't know exactly when it's going to end and how much energy it's going to take. But what are some things that we can do? Here are 4 things that we can do. The first thing is remember how strong you are. Remember how strong you are. Look what you've been able to do over this last year. Has it been easy? No. Has it been bumpy and challenging and painful at times? Probably for you, like it has been for me, just about everyone I know. But not only look what you've done over the last year, but a great exercise that I think we can do all the time, especially when we're facing challenging circumstances, is take some inventory of some of the challenges that you've faced over the course of your life. Things you've overcome, things you've navigated through, things you've figured out, stuff when you thought you were stuck and never going to get past it. And you did, right? I've shared this before, but my friend Theo said something to me many years ago when I was going through a really difficult time. We were dealing with a very, very significant financial challenge that I didn't know how to get out of. And then my mom got diagnosed with cancer, stage 4 lung cancer. And it was bad, really bad. And so, our kids were young. We were stuck underwater in our house. We were deeply in debt, and I felt like a failure. I didn't know how I was going to get through that. And my mom was sick, and we were being told that she had a very short time to live. And it was incredibly scary and challenging, but I was on the phone with my friend Theo, and he said, Mike, you have to remember something. You have more than this requires. And I said, what? He said, you've made it through 100% of the challenges you've ever faced to this point. And yes, these are significant challenges. And yes, they're hard and painful and scary. And I get that you aren't sure exactly how you're going to make your way through it, but you have more within you than this requires. And that's true for all of us all the time, especially now, even if we feel depleted or scared or stressed or stuck. The second thing that's important for us to do is admit that we need help and when we need help, and be willing to ask for it. Like millions of other people here in the US and around the world, I watched the interview over the weekend that Oprah had done with Harry and Meghan. And I was really struck and touched by Meghan's vulnerability about her own depression, her own suicidal thoughts and fears that she had been having. It was really brave of her to talk about that. I mean, given who she is and, being royalty and a princess and so, exposed in the media in the UK, here in the US and around the world, but to talk about that and the importance of asking for help. My heart was breaking listening to her say she reached out for help and wasn't given help, which is a whole separate thing about whatever's going on with the royal family. But do we have the courage, the willingness to ask for help? The answer is always no if we don't ask. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Yes, people are hurting, people are challenged right now. So sometimes it can seem like I don't want to burden people, or I don't want to seem weak, or I don't want to get rejected, or all the reasons that we have for not asking for help. But it's super important. And when we ask for help, we liberate ourselves from holding on so tight and thinking we have to figure it all out ourselves. And we give other people permission to do something which most people love to do, which is what? help. Third thing we can do is offer help and support. So yeah, I know sometimes when we're struggling and we're really stuck, we don't have much, if anything, to give. So I'm not saying to martyr ourselves at all, but sometimes one of the ways that I will get unstuck in my own obsessive thinking or my own pity party or woe is me or whatever is to offer support to others, reminding myself, look, I don't know about you, but other people's issues and challenges are often a lot easier for me to figure out than my own. but genuinely, we like to help and support other people, and we can. So being of service, being there for other people, right? It's like I was talking to one of our clients earlier today. We were having a group Zoom call in preparation for an event next week, and we were talking about people sort of running on fumes. And what someone said on the call was really interesting, is like, I'm running on fumes, everyone on the team's running on fumes. So it's hard sometimes to lean on each other because it's like we're barely keeping our head above water individually. So look, there is some truth to that, but asking for help is super important, but offering and being available for people and letting them know that we're there and that we're willing and able and would love to help them. And finally, here's what's super important, and especially right now, is remembering this too shall pass. Now, look, we've been in this a lot longer than I think any of us thought. If we had known a year ago life was going to be impacted like this for a whole year and then some, that might have done us in. It's a good thing that we didn't know. We just took it sort of a day and a week and a month at a time. And yes, it's been hard, but we're not going to be in this forever. And while I'm still not predicting, I have no idea when it's all over, I think it's safe to say we're further along into it than it's going to take to get out of it. I mean, when I say that, I mean back to some semblance of normalcy and moving around and traveling and gathering with other people, and right. It's not going to be like this for a whole another year, I don't think. Now, again, I don't know, but I don't think so. But whatever the case is, however long this is, even if it went on for another year or 2 or 3, or right, that's awful to even think of. But even if it's 3 more months or 6 more months, or it's going to pass. It's not going to be like this forever. And sometimes when we're in the midst of something really challenging like this, that goes on for a long time, that's painful, that's uncertain, that has so many ways it impacts us, it seems like it's going to be like this forever. It's one of the reasons why our young people are having such a hard time. The little ones don't really know much different, but our teens, our tweens, our young adults, right? All of us, I think, are having a hard time for different reasons. But imagine if you were 12 or 15 or 17 or 19 years old, like, this seems like it's going on forever. Even if you're 47 like I am, it seems like that. But having some perspective and remembering things change. All the seasons of our lives in the past, even the good ones, the not so good ones, they've all passed, and here we are. So having some faith, some sense this too shall pass, super important. So if you joined live, thanks for watching. I'm playing around with different times of the day and different times of the week. I'm going to try to settle into kind of one regular time that I'll come live here on LinkedIn. I sometimes go live over on Facebook too, but we've been having some Facebook issues, but as well as on YouTube. If you're watching the video of this after, either on YouTube or on LinkedIn, feel free to leave a comment or share it if you think someone could benefit from it. And just, I look at the comments, I respond to them. And you can also just find out more about me and my work at our website, which is mike-robbins.com. Thanks for watching. Take care. I'll see you again probably next week. Okay.